And unfortunately, the seats we have available now have sold out. But if you have any other special guests, we do have some VIP seats set aside, David, if you have some folks you want to...
Well, we'll just have to grease them up so we can squeeze them in there, I guess.
Yeah, because the place only holds 809 people, apparently. But it's going to be really exciting, and I think that, this is the next step in what we want to do. And but when all this has been building, you look at the amount of evidence. We're building out a new website, SiriusDisclosure.com, SIRIUS Disclosure.com, and you can go there and sign up for information about where we're going to be having various premieres around the world. We're thinking of London, D.C. probably in early May, on and on. But what's fascinating is that in this 2-hour special movie that has been crowdfunded. Thanks to all of you listeners who funded this. It's the largest documentary crowdfunded movie in history, to my knowledge. This has created something that, and the aftermath of it, we're going to bring out more and more and more of this information, because what we found is that most people don't know and haven't seen all the testimony and information that we keep collecting every week, because we haven't had a mechanism to bring it out. So after this film comes out, you're going to see that on our website we're just going to keep loading up one top secret witness and document and picture and video after another. It's going to be this avalanche. So in a sense, the movie is going to be a portal, if you will, to an enormous amount of material and information that most people can't even imagine.
Well, and as I'm sure you already have heard, Stephen, this is something I heard from insiders recently. I won't say how much, but I will say that the Obama administration is planning on aggressively cutting back military spending by a significant percentage. And when they do that, the big fear in the insider community is that as soon as these guys who they've been working with on SEC or SCI, sensitive compartmented information clearances, sometimes 35 levels above the president, as soon as these guys don't have a job, they're going to sing like songbirds.
Well, and that's the other thing, is that we want to create a mechanism through this site for people to come forward as whistleblowers, because we know, I meet with, for every person that people can see at SiriusDisclosure.com, and you can see already the links there to the disclosure witnesses and all the information we have. There are at least 5 for every one that we've identified that hasn't been willing to come forward with name, rank, and serial number. Now remember, the event that David's told all you listeners, those folks stood up, name, rank, serial number, and had signed a document saying that they would testify under oath under the penalty of perjury, federal perjury, to everything they were saying at the National Press Club event, which is a requirement I place. If someone would not sign that document, I would not let them stand up in front of those members of Congress or the world media, because I felt that people had to not only have corroboration to their accounts and possible documents, like the folks from the Strategic Air Command and the Minot, North Dakota case, the case in the Rendlesham Forest case, but we also wanted that what they would be saying, they would be willing to testify under oath under penalties of federal perjury, which are very strict. So we set it up that way on purpose, and it wasn't to be draconian at all to the witnesses. It was to establish a very high bar that we had to have so that people understood this was extremely serious, because people were basically coming forward, as you pointed out, and exposing a large, what Eisenhower called the military-industrial complex that had gotten into such levels of secrecy that it had become illegal. And the illegal secrecy was in the process, or has been in the process, of destroying our planet by suppressing not only the information that were all related to these beings from other star systems, and I think we're about to get some genetic evidence of that, but I don't want to tip my hand too far. But the other part of it is that the technologies behind these UFO devices, even the man-made ones, are such amazing science. And here we are burning coal for half of our electricity as if we were in 1880s. It's just a
bad joke.
It's just ridiculous. And imagine how we must be regarded by these other civilizations, because as Kaku says, we're not even a level 1 society yet. We're still here squabbling over resources, and we're going to build this Keystone pipeline bringing the tar sands out of Canada into the States, when we haven't needed fossil fuels since 1908, when Tesla with Stubblefield had their Earth battery generator running his farm.
Yeah, I wrote a New York Times bestseller book in 2011 called Source Field Investigations, and one of the things I quote in there is that the Federation of American Scientists showed that there were over 5,000 patents classified. You gave me that data, and I asked you if I could use it in the book.
Sure.
5,000 patents of energy devices classified by the U.S. government, including anything that's over 20% efficient at converting energy.
Correct.
So you're automatically going to be attacked, bought out, threatened, or otherwise stopped if you invent anything that works better than coal, oil, or gas.
But, you know, that's the whole divide and conquer thing, David, that we're trying to overcome with the film Sirius, because what we want to do with this is that we have been resisting. We've had some very big distribution companies approach us. I won't say who. We're saying no at this point. Here's what I think needs to happen. Everyone listen up, sit up right now. A year ago, I was at a conference with about 1,000 people, and I announced the concept of doing this film. I said, but I think we need to make it so that every man, woman, and child on Earth becomes a distributor. And we're signing up with a online video-on-demand service so that you, for example, can host and send out that movie and send it out virally. And the people who view it, there'll be some nominal charge to see it. You'll get a percentage of that for your whole everyone listening. Same thing for everyone on this call listening. Everyone can be an affiliate because it's this super program. It's this amazing program that'll let everyone. So if through your network 100,000 people saw it, you'd probably be able to have $100,000 to advance your research. If the Noetic Sciences people did it and had 100,000 people, the idea is that we want to create this viral juggernaut that puts it out there, but then all the proceeds that come to the company that has done the crowdfunding, Sirius Technology and Research, all of those funds are going to go into our energy fund to build our own lab. Why? Because we need to outfit a facility where we put these geniuses, you know some of them, David, I know quite a few of them, who have been in this divide and conquer world of secrecy and compartmentalization, where we put them under one roof and we live stream what's going on in that lab. None of it is secret. It's open source. And we get these technologies built up. And with the information I'm sitting on, I think that in less than a year, we would have a version 1.0 device that would take us out of fossil fuels. At the most 2 years. I think probably under a year. Because I have people who have handed off thousands of pages of the kind of stuff you're referring to in this Federation of American Sciences document that talks about the 5,135 patents that have been sequestered and kept secret. So what we need to do is understand is that if we can make this film go viral and push it through the system without big corporations buying it up and black shelving it, that we'll be able to raise the funds in a few months to get this whole energy thing done properly. Because, you know, the problem is we tried with the Orion project to do that. We raised enough money it wouldn't even have bought the equipment for the lab, unfortunately. I'm hoping this film will create enough awareness as a major motion picture documentary release to create enough revenue so that this laboratory and research facility, staffed with the best engineers, electrical engineers, physicists, materials management people, project management, will be able to stand up this year and begin to build out these systems, because we know a lot of people have them, but the ones who tried to do it the way you were suggesting, one lab at a time, one secret facility at a time, in their garage one at a time, those guys get picked off. They're either slapped with a national security order, which is what is called an NSO, their patents are seized, or they have, you know, thugs that come in and threaten them. Or if that doesn't happen, they're simply bought out by a large corporation, and the technology is put on a black shelf. I know a man who's a United Airlines pilot, the 747, who grew up with an inventor who used to invent this kind of stuff, and it was, the big motor companies and oil companies would buy up his device and put it on a black shelf. He'd invent another one. He retired doing this. Well, of course, he made a lot of money, but it never got out to benefit Gaia and humanity. We've got to break this cycle where it's all about, inventor greed and the secrecy that you see in Silicon Valley and these high-tech centers. So our whole vision for what the film Sirius is going to do is to create the resources so that we can do this very openly and bring these technologies out with a strategy that avoids the pitfalls of the last 100 years where it's been this divide and conquer. And, that's what we did with Disclosure Project. If you look at all these top-secret military and government witnesses, we didn't dribble them out. We had them come out all at once. Why? There's safety in numbers, there's credibility in numbers, and it creates a zeitgeist, a force that changes. And that's what we need to do with this energy effort, because the world is running out of time, and we've got to fix it.
Well, let me ask you this question, because I read most of the comments that people write, and as you know, they can be very sardonic and cynical.
Oh, yeah, everyone's always cynical.
Everybody's going to say, okay, Mr. Greer, Dr. Greer, if they can call you doctor, they probably can't stoop to that, but you are a medical doctor, you have a credible academic background, you've been doing this for many, many years, and they're going to say, how could he possibly be involved in this stuff and not have been compromised? If you're talking about threats, if you're talking about people showing up with guns or threatening you or buying you out, how could you not have been bought out, threatened, or otherwise? And, of course, I don't know the answer because I'm on the outside. I've watched your work. You were gracious enough to invite me to speak for the movie, but I haven't even seen the movie at all, so I'm looking forward to it as much as everybody else. But how did you avoid the pitfalls of doing this and all the different ways that people would try to compromise you?
Well, first of all, we didn't avoid it. I mean, I've been threatened. I had 3 people on my team killed, as all of you know who've read my autobiography, Hidden Truth, Forbidden Knowledge, which you can get at SiriusDisclosure.com. Back in 1992, a very senior military official who had been the head of Army intelligence offered me personally $2 billion if I would shut up and fold this operation and join him. I told him no, that I'm not for sale, and then he went to my wife and tried to cajole her into convincing me to do this. So the reality is all the things you've mentioned have been offered or threatened. I just haven't taken the bait because I think I have my own moral compass. I don't consider myself a perfect person by any means, and anyone who spends any time with me knows I can be rather irreverent and profane and outrageous. However, I have my own moral compass, and when I was 17 years old, I had a near-death experience, and I had this divine consciousness, cosmic consciousness experience so that I know there is no death. I also know that our conscious life being within our physical body goes on forever. And while I'm not religious, I have a very spiritual center, so that when I'm threatened, that's what I am anchored in, or when I'm offered a buyout, that's where I'm anchored in, because our time on this planet is really a very short period. And so I take that long view on this, and I think that is the only thing that ultimately is going to see you through the matrix, if you want to call it that, of threats and inducements and briberies and what have you. I've been offered a great many of those things. I was offered a CEO position, for example, from a very senior guy at the CIA who was setting up a corporation to deal with this issue, and I said, no, thank you. And this was in the last couple of years. So I
would have had the golden parachute if you'd taken a job like that, I assume.
Oh, of course, and an unlimited source of funding and access and what have you. I've never taken the bait. Now, of course...
So you could have been involved in the UFO backstory and be in the classified world if you'd taken these invitations.
Yeah, since 1992.
Wow.
And I've always said, no, thank you, because, A, I don't need to do that, and because I already have my sources and methods, and number 2, I'm never going to sell out like that. And anyone who knows me well knows that's the case. After all, the proof of the pudding's in the eating. In the last few years, leaving my medical career and moving into this, my wife and I and our family have foregone a little over $6 million in income personally to pursue this with virtually no income. I mean, the most we've made has been between 10 and 30% of what we normally would in a year, and thank goodness I made some halfway decent investments, when I was still working full-time as a medical doctor. But most people wouldn't put up with this, and I have to say, most doctors' wives wouldn't. My wife is an absolute saint and amazing person, anyone who meets her. And I think that, the problem is that what you're describing is what has happened. I'll give you an example. Less than 3 years ago,